tuner. This video is coming to you today via all new technology. I'm filming on something different and I'm mic'd with a new mic system, so we'll see how it goes. So please bear with me during my learning curve. Today's video is titled The Shadow Side of Being a Sparkler. The themes of my videos lately have really been tuning into helping people focus on self, finding a self-referent point, starting to urge people to forget what you think you know and start to really notice what you're thinking. And last year, I was with a group of colleagues and we were in a training, and the person doing the training shared something that she had learned from one of her teachers, which was this perspective of humans having become like walking sparklers on the face of the earth. And the sparklers are basically that every thought, every worry, every concern, every neuroses, every trigger, everything that we have creates a little small immediate pathway that then kind of gets started but then sort of burns out because so few of them are really seen through to or honed or focused on, and that the overall effect has rendered sort of each individual sparkler quite distracted and quite distractible and very unfocused, and that then as a collective this sort of sparkler effect has rendered everything diffused and sort of ineffective because all these potentiations are created but not really seen through, and many of them in fact don't really have any substance. All the worries, all the needless anxieties, while there are many things to be deeply concerned about, it's not as though people think of a concern and then go out and collect it and focus and intentionally then go and see to that and work towards resolution or work to better it or whatever. It's more like these worries and these things and these thoughts, and then all of the worries about others and in all the ways, what do they think of me? What do I think of them? When in fact that has nothing to do with what each individual person has to do in a day or is being called to do in a day, or their sort of vocational calling. And I did a YouTube live video recently about grounding to our self-referent point, which is the source point for each of our energy signatures. Like the person, the electric soul that is Rebecca came from somewhere before she got implanted into this body. And so I want to tune in to that source point, and I'd like to tune everybody into their self-referent source point. And if that seems confusing, if you just imagine, like, all right, so when somebody has a heart attack and the electrical charge gets disrupted and momentarily drops out of the heart muscle, we can put defibrillators on a person and literally put the charge back in them. So then the electricity starts pumping the heart again. But the electrical signature, the soul, the psyche, the thing that was that person hasn't left residence yet, and so it gets reignited. So that essence, right, comes from somewhere. And I will leave the theologians and the philosophers to muse about where that is, but I know that it's a thing and it's a place. And so with intention, I can ground each of us to that place. Nice. And you don't have to know where it is. Like, I know what my envisionment of it is, but it doesn't matter. You can use your own creativity to think of what it is. But when you think of the sparkler idea, rather than sparking off and thinking of all the things and all the worries and whatever, each one of us has a place to go in this life. Each one of us has a pathway, has a direction, a directive that comes from that origin point. And if we ground into there and draw from that, then it will be a lot easier. And rather than a sparkler with like 100 sparks coming off of us, to become more like a candle. Or even a candelabra. Like, okay, say that there's 8 instead of 80 thoughts. I mean, how many? You have 60,000 thoughts a day, or 6,000? I don't know. It's a lot. 6,000? A lot. A lot of thoughts a day. There's the science behind that. I can't quite remember it. There's a lot of thoughts in a day. So what if those were, in fact, trained on nice? Okay, yeah, okay. Let me really ground us into this self-referent point. Each person has theirs. They can't not have their own because they each arrived here as their individual self. Every one of us arrived here as our individual selves. Yeah, and there is no better neighborhood to be from, okay? Everybody's source point is equally awesome and equally divine. Period. It can't not be that way. There's no preferred postcodes in the galaxy. It's just way too big for that. Your source point is as awesome as you are. And the wisdom that is always emanating, transmitting, emitting from there is as awesome as you are. And rather than like a traditional sparkler that gets lit by a lighter or a bonfire, what if you think of a sparkler like a wellspring that the spark comes up and through, right? Nice. So we're grounding into that source point, that origin point, and then we're drawing up that transmission up and through us. And then if we go back to that imagery of us being sparklers, rather than thousands of fruitless worries and fruitless thoughts and unexplored possibilities, what if we honed that down to just a few? Yeah, to just a few that we can do. Like how much more effective, right? Successful a person would you feel if you really did you, and you did what you could do, right? What is it? The third agreement on Don Miguel Ruiz's thing is always do your best. Yeah, well, you can't do your best on 6,000 thoughts. Nobody can. That's too many, right? That's too diffuse. To do your best, you're going to have to narrow it down to just a few things, and you do that. You don't have to be a good Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey is Oprah Winfrey. Like, I just have to be Rebecca all day, every day. And I just have to be the best Rebecca I can be and do the best Rebecca business. And that's the same for you and you and you and all the yous, right? Right. And I can have creative thoughts, I can have musings, I can have daydreams, I can have fantasies, I can have imaginings, I can have hopes. But to spark off angry thoughts, anxious thoughts, those are undeveloped potentiations that actually leech your energy. You know, there's so many videos about like energy vampires and stuff. Guess what, folks? We're our worst own energy vampires. Every time you sit and are on the mental carousel of whatever and you spark off 180 thoughts that are fruitless and not beneficial to the person or persons or things that you're thinking about and not beneficial to you, guess who's the energy vampire in the room? Yeah, that would be self, okay? And I'm not recriminating, it's just let's define what that is and then let's realize when we're doing it, right? Okay. Nice big deep breath. Right? I did it. It's not, I'm not finger wagging. I'm not shaming. We all do it. It's just to know that you're doing it, to catch that you're doing it, and then to harness that potential energy into something that you can do, right? That is the expression of you that you can do today. Oh my God, yes, yes. You know, I read in a book recently that we know for a fact that narcissism isn't self-love, that narcissism is the intolerance of a person that's bred by actually complete self-loathing, not self-love. And the thought of sort of honing one's skill, like what the feeling that sort of came up from the field was, well, that would make me really selfish, wouldn't it? And it's like, I'm just not sure if selfish is even a thing. To be overly self-involved, maybe. To be myopic, to be closed-minded, to be narcissistic, to be controlling, that's a thing. But what if we were selfish? What if we did claim our energy, protect our energy, focus our energy and intention, really prioritize the things and the people that we cared about and started with self and then moved out from there in concentric circles? It's like when I describe that, that doesn't sound like a selfish culture. That sounds like a really healthy culture. Just like I keep hearing that laziness isn't really a thing and procrastination isn't a thing. It's the place where we need support. It's the place where we need help. And we put this other word on it with a big old dollop of shame added on there. Lazy. I'm a procrastinator. That just has, that's like, here's a one way ticket to self loathing. Meanwhile, the thing didn't get done because you need help or because you need support or because you need to rest better before you do it. Oh, but if I rest, I'm being selfish. No, I don't let. I'm sorry. Is selfish even a thing? I'm not sure. Wow, something just like freed up around my head. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What if instead of a sparkler with a bunch of little things, we just became a candelabra with a few? I do believe that our world is too complex to truly become a candle. I'm not sure that anybody can just have one focus in a day. There's just too much. We've gotten too thick with information and obligation in our modern world. But what if you really did become a candelabra as opposed to a sparkler? Meanwhile, I would like to say I love sparklers, right? They're adorable and they're fun and they're safe. I love them. I'm just using this as a way to give a really strong visual on a burnt out, sizzled out, unpotentiated thought pattern. Wow, there's a big heat differential. Yeah, 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 yeah. Wow, it's okay. And then if we did prioritize ourselves, right? If we did prioritize our needs, the things that we can reasonably do, the people who are truly reciprocal and beneficial to us, if we did focus on those things in a day, did the three things that supported our wellness and our progress, and truly just let the rest go. Just let it slide by in the river of all that is, right? What if we did that for 3 days this week? See how it felt. Yeah, and how do you pick? I just heard. Yeah, but how do I pick, Rebecca? Okay, fine. I'd love to prioritize. How do I pick? You get quiet and you listen. I'm gonna tap back into it. You get quiet and you listen into that self-referent point. And that's yours. It's not what your mama says. It's not what your bestie says. It's not what your neighbor says. It's not what your neighbor does. It's not even the person who you really admire. It's not what they're doing either, because they're doing them. I think my camera just glitched. Anyway, they're doing them. And all you have to do is you. Truly, that self-referent point is calling us any measure of quieting your brain, slowing down, meditating, praying, walking outside without earbuds in, sitting outside, anywhere outside, even if you're in the city, and just listening to the ambient noises. But if you can get near nature, a tree, a park, a dog park, all of those places are the fast track avenue to hearing the messaging from that source point. And it's yours. It's yours. And nobody else can tell you what it says. It's for you to listen. And trust. When you hear what's coming through, it's going to be quiet. It's going to sound quiet relative to the amount of noise and incoming we're used to. So if you think maybe you heard that maybe you should, trust that. If it feels right, if you're, trust it. Cultivate that self-trust. That'll be my next video, cultivating self-trust, right? There. Nice. Wow, there is something about those harmonics. I feel like it. I don't. We'll see how it comes out in this in my new sound technology here. But I feel like it gathered up some of those spark offs and honed them into, again, the candelabra idea. Yes. All right. I hope this video comes out okay. Please visit RebeccaCarner.com if you'd like more information, or if you'd like to contact me or book a private session. Be well. Light a sparkler. Don't be a sparkler.